What's up, everybody? I am Sniggenhoff. I hope you're in an Empire state of mind. That was a bad joke. Because we're playing Spain today. And on the last episode, we finished up a war with Savoy. Some weird things happened to where I think they stopped being excommunicated, is probably what happened. So that I couldn't take as much land as I wanted to off of them. But at the moment, we're kind of just waiting for our queen to die so that we can then put the dominoes in place for us to become the Holy Roman Emperor. And hoping that religious turmoil doesn't break out in the Empire before that, because that'll make things a little more difficult. I was also looking around a little bit before I started the episode, and I can now... Last time I tried to do this, Molly was like, no, F you. But now I can threaten war for Gabu, if I would like, and just take it from him. So I'm going to do that. And they're just like, there, have it, take it. And now I get to connect my borders. They look a lot nicer. I do need to core that. I want to see if I can then fabricate a claim of Morocco and do the same thing. Last time I tried to do it, I had much less troops and much less navy. And now that I have a much bigger navy, that's possibly one of the reasons why they're willing to accept. Or maybe they just got into a war and they have a lot less troops than they used to. Who knows? But now I control the whole coast all the way up and down. And it looks a lot nicer than it did before, and hopefully I can do the same thing here to make that look a lot nicer than it did before. So, let's let the game run for a little bit. Our queen is nearing 60 years old, so she's becoming more and more likely to die. Which is unfortunate, but, I mean, she's been very good, but, I mean, be time to move on soon. Her traits weren't fantastic. This one's bad. This one is okay, and this one is okay. You can get leaders with traits like missionary strength is a pretty good one, especially if you need that at the time. Morale of armies is an excellent one. There's one that there's another one that gives you you can get discipline from it. There's some very good ruler traits. Also, one thing that's cool about ruler traits is it will cause the ruler traits will cause the AI to react in certain ways. So like an AI whose ruler is a naive enthusiast, they will take more land than they should because they'll underestimate aggressive expansion. That's likely what happened to Poland earlier in the game, is their ruler was a naive enthusiast. Prefer to pick on someone their own size, so they'll try to fight big wars and send gifts more often. So it's like a cool way that they added for the AI rulers to do certain things. And it's actually kind of neat. One of them is Obsessive Perfectionist, and they will value nice, clean borders over everything when they're taking land in wars and stuff like that, which is kind of funny. But let's continue improving relations with all of these HRE electors. So right now, if our queen were to die, the electors we would target likely for alliances would definitely be Bohemia, because they're only 75 reasons. We're only 75 reasons underneath Brandenburg, I think, other than the 1,000. And then Mainz, but probably everybody except for these two, because they're in the 1200s. That may change when she dies. Remove Genoa from the map. But okay, Corsica is owned by Spain. Okay, yeah. And turn Sierra Leone into a city. I'm going to take that one because I don't want to do a bunch of conquering right now. I'm trying to finish the administrative idea group. And I'm going to continue building these churches as well. Thought there was a 23 over here, yes. Send a guy to the Pope. He's kind of mad at us right now. We're actually losing papal influence every month. And I don't think we're going to get any more throughout the course of the game. So, unless I get like an absurd amount of cardinals, and I already have a pretty high amount of cardinals. So we may just be kissing papal influence goodbye for the rest of the game, which is fine. Not ideal, but fine. I wonder if I should improve with Genoa, try to make them my vassal, and then I could feed their land back to them and then integrate them, which is a fine plan, although I do kind of want those relationship slots. We'll see what happens. Discovery spread, sweet. I can actually see the coast of Brazil. I can't see Brazil itself. Discovery of the New World. Christopher Columbus and his crew, yada yada. And now so have we. We gained 50 prestige for doing nothing. Not sure what that's all about, but we could take military tech right now if we wanted to. We are going to pass, although we are about to be at the military point cap. So let's do a wee bit of development. We don't have to worry about which ones to develop for the institution purposes, because the next one isn't going to spawn for another 26 years at least. I think the next one is the printing press. Yes. And that's going to spawn in Germany, most likely. And it's more likely if the nation is Protestant or Reformed. France has insulted us. They can insult us all they want. See if I care. Finish that conversion in Bafeda, which was this one? Yes. Now we can add them to the trade company. We can't even see the trade interface for the Ivory Coast yet, because we haven't gotten down that far. Which is kind of weird, but whatever. And then... oh. Not that one. Fabricate the claim there. Early in the 16th century, Cardinal Francisco Jimenez de Cisneros set his sights on the North African coast, a region where his religious zeal could find an outlet now that the Reconquista was over in Spain. He personally organized and financed a crusade against the city of Oran, the port of that place, and was captured in 1505 and in 1509. A strong force accompanied by Ciceros himself led the condottiere Pedro Navarro, finally took Oran in an assault. So expansion in North Africa seems prosperous. I get 10 prestige and some ducats. I don't know if that would normally give me a claim on Iran, which is this province. And since I already had it, nothing really happened. Or if it only just gives me the money and prestige like it did in the thing. I don't know. I'm gonna build another church. And another church though. I do know that. And then I'm going to try to talk to a guy about a boat. And by that I mean threaten war against these guys. They will not do it, because I've only got +6 relative strength of the alliance. That's sad. I would really like to do that. I got a saint, and with that saint comes a free stability, which is great. I will take that. Let's improve relations with the Ottomans. There's a lot of people around the world who kind of hate me right now. It's not necessarily the best thing. I also probably should have been waiting to build these buildings to take this 10% construction cost idea, but who makes good decisions nowadays? What else do we need to do? I mean, we're kind of not stuck, but we're just in a holding pattern right now until the things happen for us that we need to happen, if that makes sense. Our navy's finally all joined up, so that's another, it's another, not OCD thing, but just another thing that drives me insane. That is fixed, thankfully. And we've had more discoveries spread to us, specifically the elbow of Africa. I don't know. One of these is the Horn, and one of them down here is the Cape, and I can't remember all the technical terms for stuff. The nose of Africa, and the mouth of Africa, and the chin of Africa. That's what we're going to call them from now on. So we've just discovered the coast of the mouth of Africa. We can once again take military tech if we feel like spending 895 points on it. I'll pass, but it is an option there for us. Any other really great provinces? Innocent diplomats. We've appointed too many inbred nobles to the not innocent, incompetent diplomats. Too many inbred nobles to the position of diplomat. They are making fools of themselves, which was probably expected, but what is worse, they are also embarrassing our country. They are of noble blood, though, so we can lose 10 prestige, gain 50% cost to fabricate claims and 5% aggressive expansion impact, or replace them and lose 50 diplo power. How long does this last? 10 years? I really don't plan on going to war in 10 years, but I kind of don't want to lose the prestige, so I'm going to replace them. The prestige is going to be important when I try to become elected. None of those provinces are all that great. This is a 16. More discoveries. Advancement of nobility, they gain 10 influence. We get to finally see the coast of Brazil and the coast of more Brazil. Portugal has started up a bunch of colonies down over here. When it comes to the New World, and not so North and South America, not Africa and the East Indies. Once you get 5 fully formed colonies, you form a colonial nation. So instead of having direct control over those provinces like I do over here and adding them to a trade company, they're going to form a colonial nation, probably called Portuguese Brazil. And it will act on its own, but it will send tariffs back to Portugal. And also, if they have any gold in those provinces, they'll also send treasure ships back to Portugal full of gold, which people can pirate. Now you can see more of this. More of the mouth of Africa. That's one of the advantages of exploring. It's likely that Portugal knew about all this stuff probably for about at least 20 years before I did, without having explored it. I'm going to go ahead and start improving with Benin, because they are a very good target for becoming a protectorate and stealing their lands. So, we're going to do that. Maybe with Luongo as well. Make all these African nations like me so I can steal their land easier if I need to, or want to. How close are the burgers from fire? They are at 63%. And when does the next thing fall off? 1526. So next year we should be able to make it. Sweet. Point 13. Are there any really good workshop places to build? Point 15. Workshops work basically the same as churches, but they go off of the production of a territory instead of the tax, and the production can vary a little bit more than the tax can. Sometimes you'll get really valuable places to build. Monarch point reached on that. Still 5 years ahead on that tech, so we will develop some more. 0%. I can convert Gabu, which I will do before I add it to a trade company. And I can build more churches. And more discoveries of spread. The tip of Greenland, the Greenland Sea, and the North Atlantic. Okay. Ooh, new draperies. So for the rest of the game, cloth is going to be 20% more expensive and wool is going to be 20% less expensive. So if you have a bunch of wool territories, you kind of get screwed there. But if you have a bunch of cloth territories, it's better. We are now trading in sugar, so our cost of reducing war accession is negative 20%. When you trade in a certain percent of a trade good, you get those trading in that trade good bonuses, and there's different ones for each different trade good. Looking around the world right now, England is at war with Scotland and will probably be gobbling up as much of them as they can. Desmond wants us to support their independence, which if I was looking for some power projection, I'd be willing to do that, but I'm not right now. How is my corruption doing? I need to get that dropped. It is dropping pretty steadily. How much money am I making right now? 17 ducats? I can bump that up. I can bump up that root out corruption a little bit. Get that going a little bit faster. We'll keep it where I'm making 5 ducats a month. I love it getting all these discoveries. I like knowing about the world, what's going on in it, who I can exploit throughout it. Let's improve with Genoa. 4 uniforms, so for 2 years I get -5 morale of armies. -5% morale of armies. Not great, but I am also not planning on going to war. Really, I mean, I don't really want to go to war until, like, essentially, until I get the achievement, and then I'll be done with this playthrough. So for the rest of the game, kind of. Not exactly, but kind of. Learning about all of these big empty sea tiles, very exciting. I just said how cool getting discoveries spread were, and then I crapped all over getting discoveries. Hey, look, it's Bermuda. Although we don't actually know about it yet. Also, fun fact about the EU4 map. For those of you who know things about geography, you may notice that, first of all, South America and Africa are too close together. They're much farther apart in real life. And also, South America and Africa are not on the right axis as they should be. South America is much farther south, closer down to here, where it kind of looks like the nose of South Africa would meet up with the mouth of Africa over here, South America. So yeah, but they did it to make it to where there's less amount of big open seas that there would be on the map. Otherwise, it'd just be like huge stretches of ocean in between. But like, for instance, in real life, New York and Madrid are on the same latitude. Whereas here in the EU4 map, like Madrid is parallel with like Florida. That's how much north they shifted it to save space. People want to hire condottieri. Truce is expiring. Claims I have. Disputed succession. And provincial unrest in Gabu. Alright, Isabel. Like, I love you. You have been fantastic. But I kind of need you to die. Get that yearly inflation reduction. That'll be fantastic. Because before, inflation was ticking up, and it is now ticking down. So it will eventually tick all the way down to 0, to where I don't have to worry about it. And that's one of the reasons why I really like economic ideas. Grammar of the Castilian tongue. Spain is a country of many languages, and while some attempts have been made to create a standardized overview of grammar for the Castilian language, it's far from the only language used in our administration, even in the core of our own lands. Recently, a particularly well-researched and thorough new grammar for the Castilian tongue was presented to Isabel. When our queen asked what use this might be to the state, the Bishop of Avila offered the simple suggestion: after your highness has subjected barbarous peoples and nations of varied tongues, with conquest will come the need for them to accept the laws that the conqueror imposes on the conquered, and among them will be our language. So we can either adopt Castilian as the language for our administration, and we get 1 language of government until the death of Isabel. We get minus 15 culture conversion costs, which we're not really worried about. Or we can get... I don't love the autonomy change, but I do like the max promoted cultures. I'm going to go ahead and take this. And since it's talking about culture there, I'll talk about culture a little bit over here. So, there are a bunch of different cultures in the game. That's not the right one. And there are a bunch of different culture groups. So the big colors you see here are the culture groups, but inside those the larger culture groups. Inside those culture groups are smaller cultures, essentially. So this is the German culture group, where it's got Prussian and Pomeranian and Saxon and Bavarian and Austrian and Swabian and all of these different ones. And your nation can have cultures become accepted cultures. So, like, these, Portuguese is not, but Galician and Leonese and Castilian and Andalusian and Catalan and Aragonese and Basque, they're all part of our Spanish culture group. And the accepted cultures that we have in that are just Castilian, Andalusian, and Leonese. And these are here because of what we did with when we became Spain. Andalusian and Leonese became like a culture. They joined the culture group. We can spend 100 diplomatic power to raise another culture to be promoted. And once a culture is accepted in our nation, they get certain bonuses, which aren't shown here. But like, also these ones with the gold stars are in our culture group, so they give us lower penalties. And so that's another way to keep you from kind of conquering outside of where you're supposed to conquer, almost, is by giving you penalties for conquering other culture groups. But like, if I wanted to right now, I could promote Neapolitan to being an accepted culture, and I'll get a lot more bonuses from all of my provinces that are Neapolitan culture, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. They are 11% of my development. I mean, that's the third biggest culture group in my nation. It does cost 100 dip, but it's probably worth it. I'm a little behind on Diplotech, though. I'm probably going to wait to do it until I'm like more caught up on Diplotech, but that's certainly something that is good and that you want to do. And there's also a ton of contention over like certain cultures. Like, this culture doesn't belong in that culture group and things like that, because Europe is super old, and by being super old, they've become super messed up towards each other in that time period. But that's all the time we have for this episode. So, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to like the video, subscribe to the channel so you know when new content comes out, and leave a comment. Tell me about which Caribbean island you would want me to colonize. Looks like France has already jumped in a little bit on colonizing some of the Caribbean. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.